Guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina with another episode of our Sunday night live stream show. That's right, it's Sunday night, y'all, and it's time for the live stream show. Really appreciate everybody tuning in and hanging out with us and talking fishing. We are definitely going to be talking a lot about what's going on, what's coming up, and all the great stuff going on right now. So hopefully you're ready for a great show, and we look forward to spending some time with you and hanging out and talking fishing. So make sure to comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to give that video a like, guys. You got to give the video a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube, double click if you're watching on Instagram, and click like if you're watching on Facebook. It really helps us to spread the word. Don't forget, this show and every live show is brought to you by our good friends over at Gator Jim's Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete, 33712, exit 16 off 275. So if you haven't checked out Gator Jim's yet, make sure you get over there and thank them for helping us out on our live stream show and making it possible. And definitely appreciate them and all of you guys who are sending stars and showing your support. Really appreciate that too. While we were getting the show started, Charlie Pollins, Rick Rogers, Stephen Batchelor, Richard Blazak, Terry Feather, Jim Evans, Larry White, Michael DeMarnville, and Jessica Hinkle. Appreciate those stars. Thank you so much, guys. Those stars, if you're watching on YouTube or Instagram, are basically a way for people to show their support and help us to continue doing these live shows. So really appreciate the stars, guys, on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, appreciate you subscribing to our channel and giving the video a thumbs up. If you're watching on Instagram, don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Give the video a like. Also, keep in mind, if you go over to Instagram.com on your phone's browser, then log into your account and find the live stream video, you can turn your phone sideways and see the full screen. No one's allowed to talk about the Bucks game in the comments. I'm just kidding. What a game. What a game. Going to be sipping a little extra Jameson tonight after that game. Man, that was a close game. Holy moly, what a nail biter. It came down to the very end. Tim Dykes, appreciate those stars, man. Thank you so much. I think I was at one point throwing my son up in the air, like maybe a little too much. Almost hit no, I'm just kidding. But we were definitely celebrating very hard together as a family when they stripped that ball with like 2 minutes left. I think it was less than 2 minutes left. I mean, what a crazy end to the game. At one point, I think it was like 23-3 or something like that. My wife was like, gave up. She's big into football. I don't watch it as much, so I'm watching my son. We're out in the field throwing the ball with the dog. And my wife comes outside. I was like, oh, it's that bad, huh? And she was like, yeah, I'm not even watching it anymore. They already lost. And it wasn't even halftime yet. I was like, there's a lot of football left. And sure enough, went back inside, and they just brought it right back. Ended up tying the game. 28 seconds left. And unfortunately, they were able to march down the field and kick a field goal to clinch it. Crazy, crazy ending to the game. So definitely a little sad, but what a way to go out. If you're going to lose a game, go down fighting. And they sure did, man. What a game. Also, music. A lot of people have commented, made a little bit of a joke about our awesome intro music for the show. This week, we are purchasing music contract rights to more music choices. So next week for the live show, we're going to have a different intro song. So you're welcome. Those of you who sent stars, you are sponsoring the new music choices. So thank you very much. Also, don't forget to comment. Tell us where you're watching from. And if you want a free trip, if you want to win a free trip tonight, if you want a chance to win a free trip tonight, you have to comment at least one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. So you got to go over to Facebook.com, navigate to the Hubbard's Marina page, comment one time on the live video. That's what enables you to have a chance at winning free trips. All right, guys? So make sure you do that. Also, we are going to get into our photos here real quick and show you what we're catching inshore. Then we're going to work our way near shore. Then we're going to talk about the weather a little bit. And then we're going to get into your questions. So hopefully you have a question for us. If you do have a question for us, make sure you text us your question at that phone number right below me, 727-393-1947. Melissa Chamberlain, Adam Franklin, appreciate those stars. Thank you very much, guys. With that, let's get started on some photos and show you guys what we've been catching. Michelle Dillard, thank you very much for those stars. Appreciate you. So, inshore, we've been seeing those black drum. Black drum are making a little bit of a resurgence in the area, especially with this dirty, more stirred up water condition behind these fronts. We've been seeing a lot more of those black drum. Redfish bite's been steady. Have to work for them a little bit. Those residential dock lines becoming a better place to look for them. Afternoons, later afternoons, once the sun is warmed up, those grass flats becoming a better place to look for them. Oyster bars, those little deep holes and pockets on those sun-baked or sun-drenched shorelines. Good areas to look for the redfish too. Black drum are mostly in the back bay at those creek mouse, river mouse, bayous. We're seeing them a lot around those mangrove shorelines, dock lines, bigger structures. Soft plastics are a great option for those redfish. Also small pinfish, live shrimp, and cut bait is starting to get better and better as that water temperature drops. Sheep's head bite has gotten real good this past week. We've been seeing a lot of sheep's head around our docks, around our bridges, around our seawalls, virtually any structure, even those rock piles in Tampa Bay holding plentiful sheep's head. Snook bite's been a little bit more tricky. You got to work for them, find that right tidal period when that tide is really starting to move, that solunar period in the right area. Salt Strong says it all the time, 90% of the fish are in 10% of the water, and that is even more so true in the wintertime. This is a great example right here. You can see behind them the sun baking that mangrove shoreline. It's a low tide. So you've got low tide, you've got a sun-drenched shoreline. They're fishing a little pothole on the edge of this little cut, catching snook. That's where they're loaded up. They're finding them right on those little sun-baked areas. That dark bay mud that he's standing in and wading through radiates heat. So it gets a little bit of sun in the morning, midday. By late afternoon, that dark bay mud is literally like an oven top. It's radiating a little bit of heat. And just a water temperature degree change of a few degrees, 1 or 2 degrees difference, is all it takes to turn those snook on and get them feeding. So the wade fishing in the back country definitely going real well for the snook. A lot of those snooks starting to move back into the river system, creek mouths, and the back bayou areas. We're also finding them a lot around those residential dock lines, around those areas like that. You get a little warm period, they'll push back into the passes and they'll feed well in the passes, but for the most part, Back Bay has been the place to look for those snook. Nick Nieves, appreciate those 1,200 stars, dude. You're the man. Thank you so much. Trout action has been decent in the area. My buddy, Captain Mike Anderson, my partner over at our Real Animals radio show, if you ask him, the trout bite is almost non-existent. But that's in the area he fishes around Pinellas Point, Fort DeSoto, that area that was really hard hit by that red tide. He's not finding the trout in those areas. Other areas they're finding trout, you just got to find them and got to work for them a little bit. Definitely a tougher trout bite than historic periods. Typically this time of year, trout are like pinfish all over the flats. They really, really get active and super prolific, and we just really haven't seen that lately. And little worrisome to say the least. But hey, some people are finding them. You just got to work a little harder to find them. Patrick Zerwas Senior, appreciate those stars. Mac Nolan, appreciate those stars. Thanks, guys. Let's work our way near shore and show you guys what we've been catching near shore. Hogfish. The hogfish bite's been going great. Definitely a stellar hogfish bite this past week. And it was later in the week. We saw that huge cold front at the start of this past week. And that huge cold front really stirred up the water. Even in deeper waters, we saw it get really stirred up and murky. So right behind the front, the water had calmed down, but it didn't clear up. And because of that, the bite was slow this past week around Tuesday. Got a little better Wednesday, a little better Thursday, and it really fired up. They just chewed the bottom out of the boat this past Friday. And that was right when the water calmed down and then cleared up. And we had a stellar Friday 10-hour trip. I talked about it, how we were adding that special 10-hour trip in for this past Friday because it was on the backside of that bad weather. Water was stirred up. I knew it was going to clear up, and I knew that next front was coming in. That was scheduled to be pretty rough this past Saturday. Yesterday it was supposed to be pretty rough. That front ended up dissipating a little bit, wasn't quite as strong as they forecasted, but it was still pretty crazy, and that was enough to turn the bite on Friday. It was on the back side of that strong front, on the front side of the next front. It just perfect weather window, and the fish cooperated, boy. It was crazy. Robert Holshouser, appreciate those 1,000 stars. So that is a great example of why it's so important to time your trips around the weather this time of year. If you don't know how to read the weather, read those prog charts, look at the weather models, just pay attention to our morning videos. We do a morning video. I try to do them every morning. Sometimes it's not every morning, but most of the time it is, and we will tell you. I will let you know, hey, these are the days that I think are best. And when I add a special trip in there, because I think it's going to be really good fishing, it's a good idea to jump on that trip. Sometimes I'm wrong, but this past Friday, I was right, and it worked out. And very, very happy it worked out. A lot of happy anglers. This is one of those happy anglers that went on that special added Friday trip. If you look at that fish cutting table, that is a daily limit of hogfish. Went out there and limited out on a hogfish on a 10-hour all day. An awesome, awesome catch. Pretty cool to go out there on a 10-hour party boat trip and catch a daily limit of hogfish, 5 keeper hogs. Wow. Also been seeing some big mangrove snapper. This is from a 10-hour all day, believe it or not. Been seeing some big mangrove snapper near shore. We've been seeing some average size mangroves too, but definitely a little better mangrove snapper bite as of late. And you'll see that here with a couple mangrove snapper photos. Definitely been seeing those mangrove snapper a little bit more often than we normally do on that 10-hour all-day trip. So catching the mangrove snapper, still catching some of those throwback gag grouper. This one was near shore on the hub. Our good old buddy Jerry Rankin and his wife caught this nice gag grouper with Captain Sal on a hub private charter. Been seeing some big porgies as of late too. This was a special veterans trip. We worked with a group called Take a Vet Fishing Saturday afternoon and took a big group of veterans out there on the water, and they absolutely tore it up. Fishing was good again Saturday, mostly in the afternoon. Saturday morning was a little bit slow, but that afternoon bite picked up. The sun got up there, warmed it up a little bit, and the bite picked up. Also, if you are a guide or you know a fishing guide, make sure you tell them to check out the Florida Guides Association. I've been on the board of this organization for a while now and was just recently elected president of the Florida Guides Association. So super honored to be in a leadership role in this long-standing Guides Association, and looking forward to this year as we switch some things up and hopefully grow it and work hard to breathe some life into the organization. So help me out. Spread the word to your guide friends. If you use an inshore guide or someone else, you don't fish with us all the time, tell them to check out the Florida Guides Association. Would really appreciate it. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the weather and show you guys what's going on with the weather. Here at the top of the screen, you can see the little wind graph from our wind finder forecast. You can see very clearly, again, don't look too far ahead, because once you get 6-7 days out this time of year, it's useless. It's just basically a stab in the dark. Really focus on the 24th, 25th, 26th, and into the maybe 27th, 28th. But really, the next 3 days are important. And you can see very clearly we get a nice little weather window tomorrow. Tomorrow looks like a beautiful day to get out there. And then Tuesday is not too terrible. Now, Tuesday is one of those things where it could be a really, really great day. Or it could be rainy and the fishing could be a little bit slow. Because there's some models saying we're going to get a lot of rain from that prefrontal activity. There's other models saying it's going to be a pretty nice day Tuesday. So time will tell on Tuesday. But you can actually, looking down here at the Fox 13 forecast, it says 60% chance of rain. But you got to remember, that means there's a 60% chance that somewhere in the viewing area is going to get some rain in a 24-hour period. So a lot of people get this 7-day forecast and look at that and see 60%. Oh my gosh, that doesn't mean anything. Every day in the state of Florida, from May, late May, early June to like September, it's a 50, 60% chance of rain. If you didn't go fishing because there was a 50, 60, 70% chance of rain, you would never go fishing. So don't let that 60% scare you. Keep in mind, that just means 60% chance somewhere in the viewing area is going to get rain on Tuesday. So that could be at the very bitter end of the day Tuesday when that front comes through. Or like I said, some of the models are showing a little bit more rainy day starting around like 11, 12 o'clock. But there's some models that are showing Tuesday to be beautiful. So Tuesday's a toss-up. We'll know more tomorrow, and I'll update you in the morning video tomorrow. But tomorrow, we know, is going to be a nice day. So if you're available, tomorrow's 5-hour half day, going to be a good shot to get out there on the water. You can see the weather or the moon forecast here coming up on that third quarter moon Tuesday. New moon is February 1st, and then we're coming up on that first quarter February 8th. So we're going to get like a mid-February full moon. You can see here we're going to get cold this week, and going to stay cold for us pretty much through the week. Only creeps up into the low 70s for a high one day. So going to be a chilly week. That means the fish are going to start getting acclimated to it, and those temperature changes won't affect them as much, which is a good thing. All right. Now, let's move on to the next graphic, and I'll show you why Tuesday is a little hit and miss. So here's the graphic for this is for today. So front's moving through, getting out of the area today. This isn't for today. The photos are out of order, aren't they? There we go. Here's today. The front's already passed us because the front went through yesterday. So front's moved by, turned into a occluded front. Tomorrow, high pressure settling in. And then Tuesday, this is why I'm considering Tuesday to be a little bit of a toss-up. I think more South Florida is going to get the rain, and I think Central to North Florida is going to be in the clear. So I'm gambling that there's a better than average chance Tuesday is going to be a great day for the 10-hour trip. But we're going to know more tomorrow. Time always tells. So we're going to get a little bit of frontal action Tuesday night is really where a lot of that wind's going to start picking up. But this is what it looks like. High pressure building in behind the front today, going to be settling in tomorrow. And then Tuesday we could get some prefrontal activity. And a lot of that looks like it's mostly South Florida, but time will tell. And we'll go back into this one. So this one is for Wednesday. Wednesday, we get some solid frontal action. So Wednesday is going to get nasty. Thursday, some kind of tail of that front's going to be hanging out. And then Friday, we're going to get some rain. It's going to be a little bit kind of a confused thing. High pressure's trying to settle in. This is called a pressure gradient. Going to be kind of fighting, so it's going to be a little windy. So Wednesday, Thursday, and into Friday, going to be a little questionable. And then Saturday, bam, a solid cold front they're forecasting with a big high pressure behind it. So that is basically the plan this week. A lot of turbulent weather after Tuesday night. So if you want to get out in the water, shoot to go Monday, or try to get out there Tuesday morning, Tuesday on the all-day trip. That's what you're shooting for or looking at. All right, so I think that's all the photos. Yeah, that's all I had. All right, so with that, it is time to give away our first free trip of the night. We're going to give away a 5-hour half day for 2 guests. That is a $150 value, 5-hour half day for 2 guests. Let's see who's going to be the lucky winner of that 5-hour half day for 2 guests. $150 value. Remember, if you're picked as the lucky winner, you do have to text us your full home address within about 5 minutes to prove you're watching live, because you got to be watching live in order to be eligible to win. So, Greg Beneduce, congratulations, brother. You just won a 5-hour half day for 2 guests. You got to claim it by texting us at that phone number within 5 minutes to prove you're watching live. So text us your full home address within 5 minutes to prove you're watching live. So you got until 8:56 to text us your full home address. All right. With that, let's get into some of these questions, and let's see what you guys want to know. Hopefully, you've texted us some questions at that phone number there. If you haven't already, you can text us your questions here to have them answered live during the show. As Josh pulls up those questions, as a reminder, in order to be eligible to win those free trips for the random name generator to pick you up, you do have to comment at least one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. So you got to go to hubbardsmarina.com, or you got to go to facebook.com, go to the Hubbard's Marina page, and comment one time on the live stream show. All right, let's see. Dan the Fishman, thanks, buddy. Appreciate those kind words about our new position as president of the Florida Guides Association. Now I serve on the board of the Charter Fishing Association, which is also called CFA. It's a federally permitted group that's Gulf-wide. And now I'm the president of the Florida Guides Association, the chair of the Outreach and Educational Technical Committee for the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council, the chair of the Data Collection Advisory Panel for the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council, and I serve on the Reef Fish Committee for the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council. A lot of boards. That's 5. If I think about it too hard, I get a little overwhelmed. But somehow figure out how to manage it. Lindsay Ray Johnson, appreciate those stars. Thank you so much for the support. All right. So Daniel Kemp said, any advice for bundling up for a cold long-range trip? Possibly picking up a spot on the Sunday 12-hour extreme. So what I would suggest for cold weather, offshore fishing, is layered clothing. So a lot of times I'll wear a t-shirt, then a long sleeve performance shirt, then I'll throw on a sweatshirt, then maybe even a coat over that. But the real nail in the coffin to killing cold weather offshore is slickers. Some sort of slicker material to keep you dry and to break the wind. Especially the rubber coveralls, slickers, whatever you want to call them. They work really, really well. But they're also extremely hot and kind of restrictive. So I really like some of the kind of more unique coveralls, like Bass Pro was kind enough to gift me the 100-mile-an-hour Gore-Tex stuff. That's really cool because it feels like a jacket, moves like kind of a sweatsuit kind of deal, but it's actually slickers, so it's very comfortable and very, it doesn't restrict your movement at all. Super nice, super light, but it is pricey. Cheapest way to go, get you a pair of Grundens, some slickers at Fisherman's Ideal Supply House. Makes it real easy and probably the most affordable. But yes, it breaks wind, but not the way you're thinking, Charlie. All right, so let's see. What other questions do we have, Josh? Are we on board to store rods? So we did have some guests ask in the last live show about storing rods locally. There's a lot of storage places around Hubbard's Marina. There's like literally hundreds. I think I could throw a rock really hard, maybe out of a potato cannon, and hit probably 6 of them. There's a ton of storage places around. So what some customers do is they'll find those little like storage closets that are like 4 feet deep, 4 feet wide, maybe 7-8 feet tall, and they'll store their rods in one of those. And it's only like 10, 12, 15 bucks a month. But what I did suggest last week during the show and what has come to fruition is getting some local people to maybe potentially rent out some space in their garage. So if you're a supporter in our supporters group, we did have a couple supporters come forward who offered to rent out spots in their garage to our out-of-town guests. So keep that in mind. That there are locals who are willing to rent garage space to you to store your rods so you don't have to fly down with them. But no, we do not have any room in our facility to store rods, nor the one thing that I thought of was maybe putting like rod racks in our ceiling so we could store your rods in the ceiling of the shop. But it's just too much liability. I mean, someone comes in, they're like, oh, that's a really nice rod, and they grab it. I could see Smokey coming in before an all-day trip like, oh, I need a spinning rod for kingfisher firing. And Captain Garrett's like, oh, there's snook on the dock. I'm going to grab this rod. It's like, no. Just too much liability. I don't want to try to keep up with that, nor do I want to, because I know how I care about my tackle and how a lot of it's sentimental and carries sentimental value. So I don't want the responsibility of that hanging from our ceiling. If it was like a storage facility we had access to and we could throw locks on everything, that'd be one thing. But we don't have that storage room, and our landlord is very, very adverse to this idea. I've tried it. I've floated it a couple times. Trust me. So your best bet is to get with a local storage facility or get with a local who will rent out some storage in their garage. That's going to be your best bet. Next question. What other questions do we have? Going to have a boat on the flotilla on Saturday. Oh, Gasparilla is coming up this weekend. Yes, the Florida fishermen will be in the Gasparilla parade. Our local, I'm not going to be able to recall the name off the top of my head. But yes, we have the Florida fishermen privately chartered for the Gasparilla event. We're trying to get out of Gasparilla. We tried really hard. This year we said we weren't going to do Gasparilla, but we were approached and ultimately decided to move forward. But we're really trying to get out of Gasparilla. It's just it's a little bit of a headache and a nightmare down there, but the current group that we're working with is actually in the parade, so it makes it a little easier. Years past, going and just trying to observe the parade, and the Florida fishermen is tricky with all the boats moving around, but if you're actually in the parade, it makes it a little easier because the sheriff boat up front clears the path. When does red snapper season start is the next question. It always starts June 1st. If there's any falter, question, concern about it not starting June 1st, I would make that abundantly clear in our schedule. you can guarantee, take it to the bank, red snapper season for Fed permitted for hire boats in the Gulf of Mexico in 2022 will be June 1st. Guaranteed. The end of red snapper season is the question. Matter of fact, I'm going to guarantee it'll be open until the first couple days of August. We should at least have a 62-day season. I'd put a little money on probably going to have closer to a 70-day season. So probably end of the first week, maybe end of the second week of August would be my guess at the end of red snapper season for 2022. But it will definitely open June 1st. The end we will not know until the end of our April council meeting, which happens at the end of April. So end of April, early May is when we'll find out for sure when red snapper season ends. If you wait for that final announcement, you will not have any spots to book. All our private charter slots will be full. Almost all the party boat trips will be full. All the 12-hour extreme trips will be full. Our 39-hour spots are filling up. 12-hour extreme spots are almost gone. Private charter slots, there's only a handful of them left. So if you want to go red snapper fishing in 2022, you need to book a trip tomorrow for June, July, or the first couple days of August, because those spots will fill extremely quickly. 39-hour, 44-hour, 12-hour extreme, best chances to get them, or a long-range private fishing charter on the Flying Hub 2. Those are the four options: 39-hour, 44-hour, 12-hour extreme, or a long-range private fishing charter on the 12-hour boat, the Flying Hub 2. Don't get them on 10 hours. Don't target them. Don't even talk about them on 10-hour trips. That's not what we're after. We're not fishing far enough to catch them. On 10 hours fishing 15, 25 miles from shore, red snapper generally we start getting into pretty heavily 35, 45, 50 miles. So the 10-hour does not get far enough offshore to target red snapper. 12-hour night trip, you might see them. We don't target them. So if you want to target red snapper during red snapper season, June, July, first couple days of August, book a 39-hour, 44-hour, 12-hour extreme, or long-range private charter on the Flying Hub 2 tomorrow. By the end of this coming week, do it, because they will fill quickly. Don't wait. What do you recommend for a good beginner setup for your 10-hour trip? My first response to this question is always, what's your budget? That dictates my answer, because a beginner setup for some people is $100. Some people want to jump to that middle of the road, even high end sometimes. So it really is going to dictate. If you're trying to stay in a budget, balling on a budget, as we say, I would say that the Daiwa Eliminator line, we have the Daiwa, can't think of it off the top of my head, Revros line, which are very budget friendly, $120, $150 setups. We have some little nicer Daiwa setups for $150, $175. You can get a Bull Bay custom rod and a high-end Daiwa Saltist or BGMQ for like $350. So kind of depends on your budget. We got a little bit of everything in our shop, and Gator Gyms has even more. So stop by. I recommend Daiwa. That's the product I like. Not sponsored by them, not paid by them. It's just what I use, what I like, and I think they are the highest quality for the best budget. Shimano is a very great product. I really like Shimano too, but they really like their product. I feel like it's priced higher than Daiwa because it's Shimano, and I don't really feel the value is there. The high-end Shimano, the high-end Daiwa, in my opinion, are equal. You're going to pay less for the high-end Daiwa. So that's why I like Daiwa. Penn, personally, despise them, based purely on personal experience with their service. They make a good product. There are Penn reels that I use, and I like. Old school Penn, American-made Penn back in the day was the go-to. But I've grown up with Daiwa, loved Daiwa. Their service is 10 times, 100 times better. And Shimano makes a great product too. Also, Accurate, Avet, all those other options out there too. Quantum makes a decent product. But Pure Fishing owns Zebco, Fenor, Quantum, Penn. So the same place they make a Zebco is the same place they make a Penn, a Fenor, a Quantum. So you want a Zebco, or do you want a Daiwa or Shimano? Listen to the Real Animals radio show this weekend and thought you mentioned the new offshore law that requires you to have a descending device or venting tool. Think it would be great to mention it during this show. You're right. So there was the Descend Act passed, I think, last year, or I forget when it exactly passed the Senate and House. But it's actually legislation that went outside of the council process. And the Descend Act was enacted and made effective January 13th of this year. What it states is you must have a descending device rigged and ready or a venting tool on your boat. So when you're fishing with us at Hubbard's Marina, you don't have to worry about it because we're going to have it. The harness, I think is the word, is on us to make sure that we have a descending device rigged and ready or venting tools. But at Hubbard's Marina, our own personal rule is when you're on a trip like a 39-hour or 44-hour, each group must have a venting tool. That's our rule. And we're going to show you how to use it, and we really prefer venting because you can do it more effectively, more efficiently, and as long as you know how to do it, it works just as effectively. But if you don't know how to vent, or you're venting improperly, or you're poking the thing that's coming, never poke the thing that's protruding from the mouth. Never slap the fish on the water or throw them up as high as you can. That just bursts their stomach. So literally cutting a hole in the side of their stomach. The survival rate is very low for that fish. You got to properly vent the fish, which means going in right up underneath the dorsal fin. You lift up a little scale, you put that venting tool in there. It's actually right on our website. If you go to hubbardsmarina.com, and on our website, if you go to fishing trips, go down to long range trips. Once you're on long range trips, click 39-hour trip or 44-hour trip, either one. But on the 39-hour trip, right on down, just below, once the calendar stops scrolling with you, there is before you go fishing deeper than 70 to 90 foot of water, you got to watch this video or read this article. It's a Salt Strong article that we worked with Salt Strong to develop on how to properly vent a fish. Basically, underneath the pectoral fin. When we made this video, I think this was like 2018-19, the general belief was towards the trailing edge of the pectoral fin. Nowadays, they've actually said closer to the base of the pectoral fin is better. But really anywhere from that trailing edge of the pectoral fin on the bottom to the base of the pectoral fin is where you're aiming. And you just want to go a little ways in. Notice my thumb and forefinger are on that. Oh, my goodness. So notice my thumb and forefinger are on that tool. I want to make sure that tool is not going too deep into the fish. Thank you, Brian Smith, for those stars. So super important to make sure you're venting in the correct spot, not that thing protruding from the mouth. The stomach protruding from the mouth is what you never want to puncture. And it moves around on you when you zoom in, doesn't it? So never poke the stomach coming out of the fish's mouth. Always go up underneath the pectoral fin. That's what you're aiming for. So we'll watch this video real quick because you guys asked.
All right, so I got the fish up off the bottom. When I felt that bite, I gave him a quick couple spins of the reel to hook that fish. Now I've got him hooked. And I'm up off the bottom, so I'm just gonna finesse him. If he digs, I'm gonna let him dig.
Oops.
And I'm just gonna slowly reel him up. So he's digging a little bit. This to me feels like a nice snapper, shaking his head a little bit. What's funny is a lot of these snapper species, they have kind of the same head shake, kind of a quicker head shake, a little easy to tell what's a snapper. And a lot of times the snapper species will kind of give up. I have a feeling here in a second we'll see my rod tip kind of come up a little bit and he'll kind of give up a little. See right there, his head shakes, he stopped digging. He's just kind of coming up smoothly now. So with these red snapper, trick to these guys, get them vented quickly. And you never want to poke or try to vent the fish in his stomach. You always want to try to vent the fish right where his fin kind of comes down. You can use the pectoral fin as a target. You just lift up the scale and puncture right in there through his swim bladder, and you'll hear the air escape. Once that air escapes, he's ready to go back down to bottom. That air escaping is what allows him to swim back down to bottom. If you don't vent the fish, he's gonna float away and die. So it's very important that
is the proper way to vent a fish, making sure that you use your thumb and forefinger as a guide. You don't over penetrate. You just want to go in a little bit just to let that gas escape from the swim bladder and that stomach cavity area. Highly recommend you go to Return 'em Right. Return 'em Right. ReturnEmRight.org. So returnemright.org, you can go to that website. That's very heavily focused on descending devices. Descending devices are super easy. You're not putting a hole in the side of the fish, and you don't have to be careful about where you're poking the fish because you're not poking the fish. You're using a descending device to return them to bottom. Super, super easy. Anybody can use a descending device. And if you go to that returnemright.org website, they will actually allow you to pre-register. And once it opens up for private recreational anglers sometime this spring, you will actually be able to take like a 10-minute course. I think it's even less than that. I think it took me like 5 minutes to go through. Teaches you about venting tools, descending devices, and barotrauma mitigation. And they will send you absolutely free like $100 in product. 2 descending devices and a 3-pound weight makes it, and it's already rigged. All you have to do is tie it onto a line. Super easy. So highly recommend returnemright.org. Returnemright.org. Check it out if you haven't already. Make sure you pre-register in the spring. You'll be able to take the course and get the free material. They give you a $75 sequelizer, like a $25, I forget the name of the other one that's in there, and a 3-pound weight, and it's already rigged and ready. So really, really cool opportunity to get free products. That's funded by the NERDA project, their NERDA money, which came from the BP oil spill. So they have $30 million, and all of that money is focused on getting barotrauma mitigation devices in the hands of recreational anglers. Charter, private, everybody is going to get these tools, and that's what the project is all centered around. So make sure you check it out, returnemright.org. Let's give away another free trip, a 10-hour all-day for 2 guests. That is a $232 value coming to someone right now. Let's see who the lucky winner of a 10-hour all-day for 2 guests is. Stephen Batchelor from Georgia, one of our good friends from Georgia who comes down and does private charters on our 39-hour trip, and also brings their friends in a group, so that's pretty cool. Congratulations, Mr. Batchelor. Make sure you claim your free trip. If you're picked as that lucky winner, you have to text us at that phone number right below within 5 minutes to prove you're watching live. Also, want to give a shout out to Tracy Trimble, Karina Abdallah, and Aaron Mitchell for sending those stars. Thank you so much. You might have thought I didn't see it, but I did. Appreciate you guys so much for sending those stars. All right, let's get back into some questions. Can you slow pitch jig fish for mangrove snapper on a 5-hour or 10-hour trip? The general rule of thumb, the general belief or understanding is 100 foot of water or more is really when slow pitch jig fishing really becomes a thing for the average angler. However, there are definitely some more advanced anglers who have really spent a lot of time using slow pitch jig tackle and do very well slow pitch jig fishing on our 10-hour trips. I don't know if they've done it on a 5-hour trip just because that's a shorter trip. I don't think they've actually tried one of those, but they do it on our 10-hour trip, and our 10-hour trip sometimes fishes as shallow as 40, 45, 50 foot, where our 5-hour half day does as well. So it would probably work on a 5-hour half day too, but you need like a 25, 30, 35, 40, 45 gram jig. Super light jig, which requires a specialty rod rated for 50 to 100 grams and a little smaller, lighter reel so you have more control and more feedback from that jig. So definitely a little bit more of a specialized setup, but you can definitely get away with slow pitch jig fishing in shallower than 100 foot of water if you have those specialty jigs. Remember, about a gram per foot. So if you're fishing 30, 40, 50, 60 foot of water, you're going to want 20 to like 80 grams of jig. So that way if you have no current, light current, or heavy current, you can adjust in a variety of colors as well. So just like going fishing on the flats for snook, redfish, trout, you're not going to bring one lure in one size and in one color. You're going to bring a variety of colors, a variety of lures, and a variety of sizes. So the same thing when you're slow pitch jigging offshore, you want to make sure you have some variety. Gustavo asked about electric reels. You can bring electric reels on our 39 and 44-hour trips, but we do not recommend them. If you want to bring them, you have to have your own power supply, and we prefer it be one of those small lithium-ion like battery packs that you can wear in a fanny pack. That way you're mobile and you can move around, and you don't have a big battery on deck, which is a hazard for everybody around, especially on a salty, watery, wet deck. If you have a battery, you have to bring it in a battery. You need a battery box or a square kitty litter bucket with a lid. The duct taped a hole in the top to run the cord out, and then duct tape it shut. So that way it's sealed, enclosed, and no batteries on deck. You cannot have a battery on deck unless it's enclosed in a battery box or a bucket. Prefer it be one of those small lithium-ion kind of battery packs that you can wear. You need a way to charge it. We don't have power on the boat, and we don't supply a way for you to charge it. So you really need to come prepared if you're going to bring an electric reel. But you don't need it. On a 39-hour, 44-hour, we're fishing 120 to about 300 foot of water on average. So you really don't need an electric reel because we don't use them typically until we're fishing 450, 500, 600 foot of water or more. So typically you do not need an electric reel. Some people use them because they got like a bum shoulder, or they got a problem with an elbow or an arm, and they use an electric reel to help them overcome that, which is fine. And I'm not saying you can't use them. I'm just saying if you're an able-bodied angler, you don't need it. If you have some sort of issue that you need to overcome, use it. But I don't recommend it because most electric reels are very, very cumbersome and heavy, and they really kind of handicap your ability to feel a bite because it's heavier. But definitely can get the job done without them if you don't need it. Testing. Oh, okay. Josh said my microphone needed to be turned. Can you hear me better now? Can you hear me now? Let's see. Next question. Are you... What? Yeah, he's a trader.
He went to Sprint, you know. Yeah. I guess they had a better connection.
Or more money.
Hey, I mean, I'll walk too, you know. Can you hear me now?
Don't make jokes while I'm drinking, man. Almost did a spit take. Let's see here. Next question. Are you hiring any deckhands for the charter boat? We are currently not hiring for fishing boat crew. We are actively hiring for our beach cabana staff, dock masters, salespeople. We just got another ticket booth location where we're doing ticket sales and promotions, so we need some strong salespeople. We're always looking for beach cabana, beach sales, beach concierge staff, and that dock master kind of sales position as well. So we are hiring for both of those, keeping an eye out for someone strong for our reservation and ticket sales office. Not actively hiring for the boats, but we're always accepting qualified applications. So you want to drop by and fill out an application. Most of the time, the boats, the boat crew, the marine crew are very highly sought after positions. And most of the time, the people who get on there, like, for example, Splash, our most recent new hire that we love to pick on, but he's a great guy, great addition to our team, and we're very happy to have him, I'll admit. He actually came down, filled out an application probably almost 2 years prior to being hired. And then he came back a couple months later, came back another month later. He really, really stayed in contact with Captain Chris, our fleet supervisor for the fishing boats, and just basically checked in every couple weeks. And eventually got hired when a position opened up. And that's historically how those fishing boat crew positions get filled, or we hire from internally inside the company. So definitely a highly sought after position that is very much so weeded out. Ron Berger, appreciate you becoming a supporter on YouTube. Congratulations, man. Thank you very much. Let's see here. What is the next question, Josh? Oh, that's funny. Ron Berger said, since a Duluth jacket is as far north as you want to go, and today's YouTube video had you in a jacket, was that your winter coat? So this morning I was wearing our new all-weather jacket that we have on our Hubbard's Marina store. Go to our website, hubbardsmarina.com, click store, click Marina store. You can click apparel, then click jackets, and you'll find our all-weather jacket. It's a custom jacket from Salinity. Not quite a winter coat, a little lighter than my Duluth winter jacket, but it's very, very comfortable and definitely more waterproof than my Duluth jacket is. But it is a little pricey because it costs us a lot of money to get because it is very high quality. But that also cuts down on the wind too. Very similar to that Gore-Tex material. Cuts down on the wind. Got a nice fleece liner. Very high quality boat jacket. So that's what I was wearing this morning. But touche. Thanks for listening to our Real Animals radio show because that's where I made that comment. So we are out of questions, you said, Josh? Yeah. We're almost out of time, so that works out. Look at that. Almost perfect timing. We're going to try to work on getting some guests for next week's show. We are going to have a Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council coming up this week. So this week is going to be a very busy week for me. Monday through Thursday, we are going to be going through that Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council meeting, and we'll be kind of out of pocket a little bit dealing with that, and we'll make sure to give you some rundowns and kind of summaries in next week's live stream show. Keep in mind, we've got next week is January 30th, then the week after that is February 6th. The week after that is February 13th. February 13th is Super Bowl Sunday. So Super Bowl Sunday, not going to have a live show. We all got something kind of important to do. Me, since the Bucs lost tonight, I'm going to be sitting on the couch eating nachos and drinking Jameson whiskey, and might watch a game. Probably just going to drink some whiskey and eat nachos and watch the kids while my wife watches the game. But it'll be fun, to say the least, and looking forward to seeing Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Eminem bringing the band back together. That's pretty cool, regardless of what you think of those people.
The only one that matters
Pretty
is
cool.
Eazy-E.
Yeah, Eazy-E's dead, bro. He passed away.
No,
Rest in
him,
peace.
Tupac, and they're all staying there in Jamaica. Didn't you hear? Tupac, Biggie, Eazy-E, they're all living it up.
Oh, man. Let's not get into rap too much. Let's not get down that path.
For anybody interested, on February 13th, I will be here at the live show. We're going to be talking about nothing fishing.
You got to remember to come and lock the gate with a different lock that night. Make sure Josh doesn't do a live show by himself.
You can catch the Super Bowl live here on
We will have a live show next week and the week after, but Super Bowl Sunday, no live show. So
No live
two
show.
weekends from now, February 13th, no live shows. What I was basically trying to say with that announcement. Also, want to remind you guys, if you're thinking about getting out on the water, tomorrow, Monday, the day to do it. Possibly Tuesdays all day, Tuesday 5-hour half day. Definitely a good option as well. Want to make sure we give another shout out to our buddies over at Gator Gyms. This show is brought to you, and every show is brought to you by Gator Gyms Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South. Stop by, tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you. If you have a young angler with you, they got a free gift for that young angler if you tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you. So please do. Also, want to make sure we remind you guys, our supporters after show will begin around 9:50, 9:50. If you're a supporter, make sure you join us for the after show. Chance to talk a little bit more about what you all want to hear. Less people in the show, more questions, more one-on-one time. So make sure you join us for the supporters after show. If you're not a supporter, think about it. It's pretty fun. Our supporters group is really cool. You get private access to that private group, more one-on-one communication. You get the schedules of the week. You know who's working what day. You get a lot more communication and behind-the-scenes info. So check out the supporters group if you haven't already. Plus, we've done some supporters fishing trips where they got to go fishing for free. They got supporters t-shirts. We do a lot of cool stuff with our supporters group. So check it out. It's only $4.99 a month, in my opinion. Quite a steal just from the after show alone, but we also add a lot more value to it as well. Also, don't forget as well, this is kind of your last few months for lighter loads. January into middle February, so lighter loads, less people around, not as many people on the half days. We're averaging like 25 to 35 people on our 5-hour half days, 10-hour all days. Come middle of February, it's going to start slowly picking up. March, April, crazy busy. May, we get a little bit of a lull, and then it's crazy busy June, July, and into August. So this is your last few weeks for lighter loads, lower numbers, lighter crowds. Take advantage of it if you can. Also, want to make sure that we give a shout out to our other sponsors and partners, our partners over at The Real Animals. If you haven't checked them out on Facebook, Instagram yet, make sure you do so. Also, make sure you tune in to our Saturday morning Real Animals radio show at broadcast live right on our Hubbard's Marina Facebook. It doesn't broadcast to our Hubbard's Marina YouTube channel, but it does on our Facebook page. So get on that Saturday morning, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Also want to thank Yamaha for our beautiful Yamaha 425s. We are only using Yamaha across our fleet. If it's an outboard engine, it's a Yamaha. And there's a reason why. So check them out. Also, Bass Pro Shops, Engel Coolers, the only cooler for me. Also, Salt Strong, Aquatic Nutrition, Sport Fishing Chum, Cleanse Oil, and our friends over at Bull Bay Rods. Don't forget to check out Hubbard's Marina on TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and, of course, Facebook, and now the Neighborhood app. Check us out. Make sure you follow us, like our pages, all that good stuff. Don't forget about our Friday morning Fox 13 news segment every Friday morning around 8:15 a.m. And, of course, hopefully we'll see you every Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. right here for our live stream show. With that, it's time to give away our last free trip of the night, a 39-hour trip for one guest. If you're the lucky winner, you got to claim that free trip in 5 minutes to prove you're watching live. 5 minutes or less. Very, very strict. You got to be watching live. And a lot of people have talked about, oh, well, I know people that just sign in and just try to win the 39-hour. Guess what? We've got ways to make sure you actually have to watch the whole show. So not only do you have to watch the whole show, but you have to claim your free trip within 5 minutes. And that's how we make sure that it's actually someone who's watched the live show, participated, and enjoyed the whole thing, not someone who just pops in at the last minute to try to win a trip. Let's see who won that 39-hour trip for one guest. Really, really appreciate y'all hanging out and watching tonight's show. We'll see you again next week. Brian Robinson, you're the lucky winner of a 39-hour overnight trip for one guest. Make sure you text us within 5 minutes to claim it. Brian Eakins, thanks for those stars, buddy. If you didn't hear it, Brian, I talked about you on the radio this past Saturday. You and that beautiful Hubbard's Marina tattoo that you have. So shout out to you, Brian Eakins, the #1 Hubbard's Marina fan. You're the man. Don't forget, if you get a tattoo of our Hubbard's Marina logo on your lower leg, lower arm, face, neck, you get free trips. If it's a face tattoo, 2 free trips. Any trip you choose, absolutely free. Check it out. Think about it. You know you want a Hubbard's Marina face tattoo on your cheek. That's what I'm thinking. Y'all have a good night. Don't forget, if you're a supporter, to join our supporters after show, 9:50. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. We appreciate you and you joining us and bearing with us during these live stream shows. Couldn't do it without you. Y'all have a good night. Tight lines. Don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy.